Commander Thek stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought, his three eyes fixed on the blue planet rotating, slowly on the main screen. Earth-such, a simple name for what would become the Dominion's 48th conquered world. The Valari had been masters of space for over 2,000 years. Their empire stretched across the galaxy, and every species they met eventually bowed to their superior technology and military might. Some fought. Some surrendered immediately. In the end, it never mattered. The Dominion always won. Thex's thin fingers danced across the control panel. His body moved with the natural grace of a species born under gentle gravity. On his homeworld of Velar Prime, everything felt light and easy. Movement was effortless. Even the oldest Valari could leap 3 times their height without strain. "Report," Thex commanded. His voice carried the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. Science Officer Mira approached, her tall frame swaying slightly as she walked. She carried a data tablet that glowed with information about the target planet. "The planet designation Earth is rich in rare minerals," Mira said. "Water covers 70% of the surface. The dominant species calls themselves humans. They have achieved basic spaceflight, but remain confined to their home system. Technologically, they are at least 300 years behind us." Thex nodded. This matched every other primitive world they had conquered. "And the gravity situation?" Mira hesitated. This was the one detail that concerned the science team. Earth's gravity measures at 1.0 standard units. That is 2.5 times stronger than Velar Prime. A ripple of concern passed through the bridge crew. No Valari had ever set foot on a world with gravity that strong. The highest they had encountered was 0.8 units, and even that had been difficult. "But we have the new suits," Thex said. It was not a question. "Yes, Commander. The Titan-class gravity compensation suits have been designed specifically for this mission. They were tested successfully in environments up to 0.8 units. Our engineers assure us they will function properly on Earth." Thex studied the planet again. Somewhere down there, billions of humans lived their lives completely unaware that their world was about to change forever. They had no idea the Dominion had found them. They could not imagine the power that now orbited their home. "How long until we are in position?" Thex asked. 6 hours, Commander." "Good. Prepare the invasion force. 10,000 of our best warriors. We will target their major population centers simultaneously. Once we control their cities, the rest will surrender quickly." The bridge crew moved to follow his orders. Thex felt the familiar excitement of conquest building in his chest. This would be quick. Easy. The humans had primitive weapons and no real defenses against orbital assault. Their scattered military forces could not hope to resist the Dominion. In the preparation bays below the bridge, thousands of Valari warriors checked their equipment. The Titan-class suits were marvels of engineering. Each suit covered the body in flexible armor that could stop most weapons. The real innovation was the gravity compensation system built into the frame. Warrior Kess examined his suit carefully. He had trained in these suits for months preparing for this mission. The suit felt comfortable, almost like a second skin. When activated, the compensators hummed with power, making movement feel natural even in higher gravity. "Nervous?" asked his companion, Warrior Reln. "No," Kess replied. "The suits work perfectly. I have tested mine dozens of times, but never in full Earth gravity," Reln pointed out. "The engineers say 0.8 to 1.0 is not a significant difference. The suits have power reserves to spare." Around them, other warriors prepared in similar fashion. Some painted honor marks on their armor. Others recited prayers to the old gods. All of them shared the same confidence. They were the elite, the best of the best. This mission would earn them glory. The call came over the ship's communication system. All warriors to drop pods. Deployment in 30 minutes. Kess sealed his helmet and walked toward his assigned pod. The suit's systems activated automatically, and he felt the compensators engage. His body felt light again, as if he were back home. The suit was doing its job perfectly. The drop pod was a small space, barely large enough for one warrior to stand. Kess entered and locked himself into the harness. Through the small window, he could see other pods being loaded with warriors. Thousands of them ready to bring Earth into the Dominion. The commander's voice echoed through every pod. "Warriors of the Dominion, today we add another world to our empire. The humans below are primitive and weak. They cannot stop us. When you land, secure the area and wait for reinforcements. This battle will be over before sunset." Cheers erupted from the warriors. Kess joined them, raising his fist in triumph. The drop pods launched. One by one, they detached from the mothership and began their descent toward Earth. Kess watched through his window as the planet grew larger. Blue oceans, green and brown continents, white clouds. It looked peaceful from up here. The pod shook as it entered the atmosphere. Heat built up on the outer hull, turning the metal red. Kess gripped his harness and prepared for landing. His suit's systems showed everything functioning normally. Gravity compensators at maximum power. Structural integrity good. All weapons ready. Below, humans looked up at the sky and saw thousands of shooting stars. They did not know these were not stars at all. They did not know their lives were about to change forever. The pods fell like rain toward the surface. Inside, Valari warriors stood ready. They had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be the 48th dock. Commander Thex watched from orbit, confident in his victory. Nothing could go wrong. The suits were perfect. The warriors were ready. The humans were helpless. The first pods hit the ground. Warrior Kess felt the pod slam into the ground. The impact was harder than he expected. Much harder. His body jerked against the harness and he heard the suit's compensators scream with effort. Warning lights flashed across his helmet display. The pod door blew open with a hiss of pressure. Light flooded in. Kess tried to step forward, but something was wrong. Terribly wrong. His legs felt like they were made of stone. The suit compensators were running at maximum power, but it was not enough. Not nearly enough. He took one step out of the pod and felt his knee buckle. Then he heard the sound. A crack like breaking wood, but it came from inside his leg. Pain exploded through his body. Kess fell forward onto the ground and the impact made everything worse. His ribs broke. His spine compressed. His arm twisted at an angle that should not be possible. Around him, other pods opened. Other warriors tried to stand. Each one fell. The sounds of breaking bones filled the air like a horrible symphony. Warriors who had trained for months, who had conquered worlds, were destroyed in seconds by simple gravity. Kess tried to move, but his body would not respond. The suit was intact. The armor was perfect. But inside, his bones had shattered like glass. He could not even lift his head. Through his helmet, he could see the sky above. It was blue and peaceful and beautiful. It would be the last thing he ever saw. In New York City, people had stopped to watch the pods fall from the sky. News cameras broadcast the landing live. The military had evacuated the immediate area, but millions watched from a safe distance. When the pods opened and nothing came out, confusion spread through the crowd. Soldiers moved closer carefully, weapons ready. What they found inside the pods was not what anyone expected. Captain Martinez was the first soldier to reach a pod. He looked inside and saw the alien warrior on the ground, clearly dead. The body looked wrong, like a puppet with its strings cut. The armor suit was undamaged. There were no bullet holes, no signs of weapons fire. The alien had simply collapsed. "Command, this is Martinez," he spoke into his radio. "The alien is down. I repeat, the alien is down. But we did not fire. It looks like..." I don't know what happened. More soldiers reached other pods. Every single one told the same story. Dead aliens. Intact suits. No visible cause of death. Dr. Sarah Chen arrived at the crash site 30 minutes later. She was a biologist, called in by the military to examine the aliens. When she cut open the first suit, she understood immediately. "Their bones," she said to the military officers standing around her. "Look at their bones." The alien skeleton was visible through the autopsy. The bones were thin and hollow, almost like a bird's bones, but more extreme. They were perfect for a low-gravity world, but on Earth they were worse than useless. They were a death sentence. This species evolved in much lower gravity than Earth, Chen explained. When they landed here, their bodies could not handle the stress. The suits tried to compensate, but the impact of landing was too much. Their bones just shattered. One of the officers stared at the alien body. "You mean they killed themselves just by coming here?" "Essentially, yes. Earth's gravity is deadly to them." Above the planet, Commander Thex watched his status board turn red. Every single warrior in the first wave was marked as killed in action. All of them. 10,000 elite soldiers gone in minutes. "This is impossible," Thex said. His voice shook with disbelief. The suits were tested. They passed every trial. Science Officer Mira checked her data frantically. The suits were tested at 0.8 gravity. Earth is 1.0. That difference, combined with the impact force of landing, was enough to overload the compensators. Then we increased the power, Thex said. Deploy the second wave with suits running at 150% capacity. The engineering team protested. Commander, the suits are not designed for that level of sustained operation. They will overheat. I do not care. We cannot retreat. The Dominion has never retreated. Prepare the second wave immediately. 2 hours later, another wave of drop pods launched. This time only 2,000 warriors. The suits hummed with extra power, running far beyond their safe limits. Inside their pods, the warriors knew the risks. But orders were orders. These warriors lasted longer than the first wave. When Warrior Bren stepped out of his pod in Beijing, his suit held. He took 3 steps. 4. 5. He began to think maybe it would work. Then his suit began to beep. Temperature warnings. The compensators were overheating from the strain. Bren tried to return to his pod, but movement made everything worse. The suit system screamed one final warning, then failed completely. Earth's full gravity hit him like a physical blow. Bren fell to his knees, and both kneecaps exploded from the impact. He tried to crawl, but his arms could not support his weight. His elbows bent backward. His chest pressed against the ground, ribs cracking one by one. All across Earth, the same scene repeated. Warriors emerged from pods. Suits held for precious seconds, then failed. Bodies collapsed. Bones broke. The second wave died just as completely as the first. In London, crowds gathered to watch. In São Paulo, news helicopters circled the crash sites. In Mumbai, children climbed onto rooftops to see the alien invasion. Everywhere humans watched, they saw the same thing. An invasion force that destroyed itself. Social media exploded with posts. Memes spread within hours. Humanity had prepared for war, had mobilized every military force, had expected death and destruction. Instead, they got an enemy that could not survive their own landing. Some people felt pity for the aliens. Others felt relief. Most just felt confusion. This was not how invasions were supposed to go. Commander Thex sat in his command chair and stared at the casualty reports. 12,000 warriors dead. 12,000 of the Dominion's finest soldiers killed by a planet. Not by enemy action, not by superior weapons. By simple gravity, his career was over. The Dominion executed failed commanders. But worse than that, his pride was shattered. The Valari had always believed they were superior, stronger, better. Now he knew the truth. They were fragile, weak. Adapted to their comfortable low-gravity world, they had become soft. Humans lived every day in what the Valari considered crushing gravity. They were strong in ways he had never imagined. They did not need advanced technology or powerful weapons. Their planet itself was their greatest defense. Thex made a decision. If he could not conquer Earth from the ground, he would destroy it from orbit. The broadcast came 12 hours after the last pod landed. Commander Thex appeared on every screen across Earth. His image was transmitted through every television, every phone, every computer. There was no escaping his message. People of Earth, Thex said. His voice was translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. You have witnessed the failure of our ground forces. Do not mistake this for weakness. The Valari Dominion does not surrender. If we cannot claim your world, we will ensure no one can. He paused, letting the threat sink in. In 6 hours, we will begin orbital bombardment. Your cities will burn. Your oceans will boil. We will crack your planet's crust and make your world uninhabitable. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. Panic spread across Earth like wildfire. People fled cities. Highways jammed with traffic. Some tried to reach underground shelters. Others simply held their families close and waited for the end. But in military command centers around the world, a different reaction took hold. Not panic. Anger. General Patricia Foster stood in the United States Strategic Command bunker, surrounded by officers from every branch of military service. On the screens around her, she could see similar scenes playing out in Russia, China, Europe, and every other nation. They think we are helpless, Foster said. They think because we could not stop their ships from entering orbit, we cannot fight back. Can we fight back? Asked Admiral Chen, commander of the Pacific Fleet. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Their ground troops could not even stand up on our planet, Foster replied. Maybe their ships have weaknesses too. Get me every space-capable asset we have, everything. Military satellites, space stations, orbital weapons platforms, even civilian spacecraft if they are willing to help. That is not much of a fleet, Chen said quietly. Then we will make it count. Around the world, similar decisions were being made. Russia activated its secret orbital weapons. China powered up its lunar mass drivers. India prepared its satellite network for combat. The European Space Agency armed every probe and platform it had. Even private space companies volunteered their rockets and ships. It was not an impressive fleet. Most of Earth's space assets were designed for science or communication, not war. But it was all they had. The first wave launched from Earth 2 hours later. Missiles carried nuclear warheads, though no one knew if nuclear weapons would work against alien shields. Railguns fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Old rockets filled with explosives were aimed at the alien fleet like giant bullets. Commander Thex watched the human attack approach on his screens. He almost laughed. Primitive missiles. Simple projectiles. Nothing that could threaten his fleet's shields. Point defense systems, eliminate all incoming threats, he ordered. The Volari ships opened fire. Laser beams lanced through space, destroying missiles before they could get close. Particle beams vaporized incoming projectiles. The human attack was wiped out in seconds. Pathetic, Thex muttered. Proceed with bombardment preparations. But General Foster had expected this. The first wave was not meant to succeed. It was meant to gather data. Every laser fired, every defensive move was recorded and analyzed by Earth's computers. They are using energy-based point defense, reported a tactical officer. Very effective against missiles and slow projectiles. What about kinetic weapons at higher speeds? Foster asked. Their systems seem to track and destroy based on predicted trajectories. If we can launch something fast enough and unpredictable enough, we might get through. Foster turned to the communications officer. Get me General Zhao in China. I need to talk to him about their lunar base. On the moon, the Chinese lunar mining facility had been operational for only 2 years. Its primary purpose was to extract rare minerals and test long-term habitation. But it also had a mass driver, designed to launch containers of minerals back to Earth. The mass driver was essentially a long magnetic rail that could accelerate objects to enormous speeds. It was meant for cargo, not weapons. But General Zhao saw its potential immediately. We can modify it, Zhao said over the video link to Foster. Instead of cargo containers, we launch solid tungsten rods. The mass driver can accelerate them to a significant fraction of light speed. How long? Foster asked. Give me 3 hours. You have 2. The engineers at the lunar base worked frantically. They stripped down the mass driver's safety systems. They removed the guidance controls meant to ensure gentle cargo delivery. They turned a mining tool into a weapon. Meanwhile, Earth continued to launch attacks. More missiles. More projectiles. All of them were destroyed by the Volari point defense. The aliens grew confident. Human weapons could not touch them. Then the first tungsten rod launched from the moon. It was a simple object. A cylinder of dense metal, 50 tons in mass, accelerated to thousands of kilometers per second. No guidance system. No explosives. Just mass and velocity. The Volari sensors detected it, but too late. The rod was too fast. By the time the point defense systems calculated a trajectory and fired, the rod had already moved. The lasers hit empty space where the rod had been milliseconds before. The tungsten cylinder struck the Volari dreadnought dead center. At that speed, it did not matter that the ship had shields. The kinetic energy was too much. The rod punched through shields, through armor, through the entire ship from one side to the other. The dreadnought exploded. Atmosphere vented into space. Internal fires consumed oxygen. The ship broke in half and began a slow tumble toward Earth's atmosphere, where it would burn up completely. Commander Thex stared in horror at his tactical display. A red X marked where the dreadnought had been seconds before. One of the Dominion's most powerful ships destroyed by a primitive kinetic weapon. Evasive maneuvers, he shouted. All ships, random pattern Delta. But the lunar base was not finished. More rods launched. They came from unexpected angles. Some missed, flying off into deep space, but others hit their targets. A destroyer took a rod through its engine section. The ship went dark and dead in space. A cruiser was clipped by a glancing blow that tore off its weapons array. Another dreadnought was hit square in the command section, killing everyone on the bridge. The Volari fleet scattered, trying to avoid the kinetic bombardment. But space was big and the rods were small. Tracking them all was impossible. For every rod that missed, another found its mark. Earth's orbital platforms joined in, firing everything they had. Most shots were destroyed by point defense, but they kept the Valari gunners busy. Every laser aimed at a missile was a laser that could not protect against a tungsten rod. Commander Thex realized he was losing. The humans were not helpless. They were adaptive and creative and absolutely ruthless in defending their home. The retreat order came on the third day of battle. Commander Thex sat in his damaged command chair, watching his fleet shrink with each passing hour. 6 capital ships destroyed, 15 smaller vessels crippled or dead in space, hundreds of crew members lost, and they had not fired a single shot at Earth's surface. "Prepare for jump to hyperspace," Thex said quietly. The words tasted like poison in his mouth. The Valari Dominion did not retreat. But the Valari Dominion had never fought a battle quite like this. Science Officer Mira approached him carefully. Her face showed a mix of relief and shame. Relief that they would survive. Shame that they were running. "The humans are still firing, Commander. If we do not leave soon, we may lose more ships." "I am aware," Thex replied. He looked at the planet on his screen one last time. That blue and green world had defeated him without its inhabitants ever reaching space. Their weapons were primitive. Their tactics were simple. But their determination was absolute. And their planet was a fortress that needed no walls. "Execute jump," Thex ordered. One by one, the remaining Valari ships vanished in flashes of light. They left behind debris, dead vessels, and the scattered remains of 12,000 warriors on Earth's surface. On Earth, warning sirens announced the alien departure. People emerged from shelters cautiously, hardly believing it was over. News broadcasts showed the empty space where the alien fleet had been. The invasion was done. Humanity had won. But General Foster knew the celebration was premature. She stood in the command bunker and studied the reports, coming in from around the world. "We got lucky," she said to Admiral Chen. "If they had started the bombardment immediately instead of threatening us first, we would be dead. If their shields had been designed for kinetic weapons instead of energy weapons, we could not have touched them." "But we did touch them," Chen replied. "We beat them." "We survived them," Foster corrected. "There is a difference, and now they know we exist. They will go home and tell their empire about us. What happens when they come back with better ships, better weapons, better planning?" The question hung in the air. No one had a good answer. Around the world, recovery teams began the grim task of collecting alien bodies and technology. Every crash site became a research facility. Scientists studied the Valari biology, trying to understand how a species could evolve in such low gravity. Engineers examined the Titan suits, learning the principles of gravity manipulation. Dr. Sarah Chen spent weeks studying the alien remains. What she discovered was both fascinating and troubling. "The Valari are not warriors by nature," she explained to a group of military officers. "Look at their body structure. Light bones, efficient muscle systems, large brains. They evolved as thinkers and planners, not fighters. In their low-gravity environment, physical strength was not important." "Then how did they build an empire?" asked one officer. "Technology," Chen replied. "They developed space travel early because launching from a low-gravity world is easier. They built weapons and ships instead of building strong bodies. For 47 worlds, that was enough. But Earth is different." She pulled up a comparison chart showing human and Valari bone density. The difference was staggering. "We evolved in one full gravity. Every day of our lives, we fight against Earth's pull. Our bones are dense. Our muscles are strong. We are literally built tougher than most species in the galaxy, and we do not even realize it because this is normal for us." The implications were enormous. Humanity was not just lucky. They were naturally adapted to something most alien species would consider a death world. Earth's gravity was a defense that required no technology and no weapons. It simply existed, and it was deadly. Other discoveries came quickly. The Valari faster-than-light communication system was reverse-engineered within months. Human scientists had been close to the same breakthrough, and the alien technology showed them the last missing pieces. Suddenly, Earth could send messages across the galaxy in real time. The gravity compensation technology took longer to understand, but eventually human engineers cracked it. They built their own suits, properly designed for high-gravity species to survive in low-gravity environments. The technology had other uses, too. Artificial gravity for space stations, better propulsion systems, lifting systems that could move massive objects with ease. Earth's technology jumped forward by decades in a matter of months. All because an alien empire had underestimated them. 6 months after the invasion, a new ship appeared in Earth orbit. This one sent peaceful signals immediately. It requested permission to approach. It asked politely to send a representative to the surface. The world governments debated for 3 days before agreeing. They chose Geneva as the meeting site, neutral ground. They prepared weapons and defenses just in case. They had learned not to trust easily. The Valari shuttle landed at the designated coordinates. Its engines shut down and nothing happened for several minutes. Finally, the door opened. Ambassador Serana emerged slowly. Her gravity suit was massive, far larger than the Titan suits the warriors had worn. It covered her entire body in reinforced plating and had twice the power supply. Even with all that technology, moving was clearly difficult for her. She walked from the shuttle to the meeting building, a distance of only 50 meters. It took her 10 minutes. By the time she reached the door, she was breathing hard. Sweat covered her face inside the helmet. The human delegates waited inside. Secretary General Martinez sat at the head of the table, flanked by representatives from every major nation. They watched the ambassador enter and struggle to sit down. The chair had been specially reinforced to hold her heavy suit. "Thank you for meeting with me," Serana said through her suit's translator. Her voice was tired but respectful. "I know my people have given you no reason to trust us. You tried to invade our world," Martinez said flatly. "You killed yourselves trying, but the intent was clear." "Yes," Serana agreed. "And we were wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. The Dominion has conquered 47 worlds. We thought we were unstoppable. We thought we understood strength. But we did not understand strength like yours." She paused, catching her breath. Simply sitting in Earth's gravity was exhausting for her, even with the suit. "Your people live every day in conditions that would kill most species within minutes. You think this is normal. You think you are average, but you are not. By galactic standards, humans are extraordinarily strong and resilient. Earth is what we would classify as a death world. And yet you came here anyway," said General Foster, who sat beside Martinez. "We did not understand. Now we do. And the Dominion sends me to propose something unprecedented. We wish to negotiate an alliance with Earth." The word alliance hung in the air like smoke. Around the table, human delegates looked at each other with skepticism. Martinez leaned forward, studying the alien ambassador carefully. "Why would we want an alliance with you?" Martinez asked. "You tried to destroy us. Now you come here asking for friendship?" Ambassador Serana shifted in her chair, and the movement clearly caused her pain. She had been on Earth for less than an hour, and already the gravity was taking its toll despite her advanced suit. "Because the galaxy is more dangerous than you know," Serana said. "The Valari Dominion is not the strongest empire out there. We are not even in the top 5. There are species with weapons that could crack planets, hive minds that consume entire star systems, ancient powers that see younger species as resources to be harvested." She pulled up a holographic display from her suit. Images appeared in the air above the table, showing various alien species and their territories. The Valari Dominion was highlighted in blue. It looked impressive, spanning dozens of star systems, but around it were other empires in red, yellow, and green. Some were much larger than the Dominion. "The Krenarians," Serana pointed to a red section, "are a warrior culture that makes our invasion look gentle. They do not negotiate. They do not take prisoners. They conquer and enslave. Their empire is 3 times the size of ours." "And you think they will come for Earth?" asked General Foster. "Eventually, yes. Earth's location is strategically valuable. Your planet's resources are rich, and now thanks to our failed invasion, every empire in this sector knows you exist. Some will be curious. Some will be fearful. Some will see opportunity." Martinez sat back in his chair. "So you want us to join your alliance to protect ourselves from other aliens?" "No," Serana said. "I want us to join together because both our peoples will be stronger for it. You have proven that humans are exceptional. Your adaptability, your strength, your creative thinking, these are valuable beyond measure, and we have technology, experience, and knowledge of the galaxy. You also have a history of conquest," pointed out the Chinese delegate, Minister Zhao. "Why should we believe you have changed?" Serana was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. Because 12,000 of our warriors died on your world without you firing a shot. Because 6 of our greatest ships were destroyed by weapons we considered primitive. Because for the first time in 2,000 years, the Valari Dominion faced an enemy we could not defeat. That changes a species. That changes an empire. She looked around at all the human faces watching her. You humbled us. Not through cruelty or violence, but simply by existing. Your planet itself was the weapon that defeated us. We will never forget that lesson. The negotiations lasted 3 weeks. Every nation wanted a say. Every military wanted guarantees. Every scientist wanted access to alien technology. It was messy and complicated and very human. Ambassador Serana remained on Earth the entire time, though it was clearly torture for her. She took breaks every few hours to return to her shuttle where the gravity could be reduced. Even with the advanced suit, her body was not meant for Earth's environment. But she stayed anyway, answering questions and building trust slowly. Dr. Sarah Chen visited Serana one evening in her shuttle. The ambassador was floating in a special chamber, where the gravity was reduced to comfortable levels. Without her suit, Serana looked fragile and tired. Why are you really doing this? Chen asked.
The Alliance, I mean.
There must be easier species to partner with. Serana smiled weakly. There are. But easier is not always better. The truth, Dr. Chen, is that the Dominion is afraid. Afraid of what? Of becoming obsolete. Our technology is advanced, yes, but we have grown soft. We live in comfortable worlds with gentle gravity. We avoid hardship. We have machines to do difficult tasks. For 2,000 years, that was enough. But the galaxy is changing. Aggressive species are expanding. Resources are becoming scarce. The old ways of conquest are not working anymore. Serana pulled herself into a sitting position. Then we met you, humans living on a death world, thriving in conditions that would kill most species, fighting us with primitive weapons and raw determination, defeating us with simple physics. You showed us what we have lost: resilience, adaptability, strength. So you see us as soldiers, Chen said. No, Serana replied. I see you as survivors. That is much more valuable. Anyone can be taught to fight. But surviving, adapting, thriving against all odds, that cannot be taught. That is built into who you are. On the final day of negotiations, an agreement was reached. Earth would join the Dominion Alliance, but not as a conquered world. As an equal partner. Human representatives would sit on the Dominion Council. Human ships would be built with joint technology. Humans would have access to the entire network of allied worlds. In return, Earth would share its knowledge, its perspective, and its strength. Humans would serve as advisors, showing the Dominion species how to build resilience, how to think creatively, how to fight when technology failed. The treaty was signed in a ceremony broadcast across both Earth and Valari space. Secretary General Martinez and High Counselor Thex both placed their marks on the document. It was historic, the beginning of something new. After the ceremony, Martinez and Thex spoke privately. The Valari leader looked older than he had during the invasion. The defeat had aged him. I still think about them, Thex said quietly. The 12,000 warriors who died here, they were following my orders. They died because your scientists made a mistake, Martinez replied. Because your engineers built flawed suits. Because your empire assumed it could take whatever it wanted. Those deaths are not on you alone, perhaps, but I will carry them anyway. Good, Martinez said. Leaders should carry the weight of their decisions. It keeps us honest. They stood together looking at Earth from the orbital platform. The planet rotated slowly below them, blue and green and beautiful. Your world is terrifying, Thex said. Even standing here in normal gravity, knowing what that planet did to my people, I cannot help but respect it. Earth does not care about respect, Martinez said. It just exists. It is we who must adapt to it every single day. That is what makes us strong. In the months and years that followed, the Alliance grew stronger. Human engineers worked alongside Valari scientists. Human soldiers trained with Dominion forces. Human ships ventured out into the galaxy, exploring new worlds. And everywhere humans went, other species watched with fascination and fear. The Death World species. The people who lived in crushing gravity and thought it was normal. The warriors who did not need weapons because their planet had already made them unbreakable. In the Dominion archives, the entry for Earth was updated. The warning about invasion remained, highlighted in red for extreme caution. But a new line was added below it in green, the color for valued allies. Humanity. Classification: Death World species. Natural capabilities, exceptional strength and resilience. Technological level, rapidly advancing. Military assessment, highly dangerous if provoked. Diplomatic status allied. Recommended action, maintain strong friendship. Never underestimate them again. And deep in space, other empires read the reports about Earth with interest. Some dismissed humans as lucky primitives. Some saw them as potential threats. Some began to plan, but Earth was ready. For the first time in history, humanity was not alone in the universe. They had allies, they had advanced technology, and they had something else. Something no other species could quite match. They had survived on a death world for millions of years. They had been forged by Earth's crushing gravity into something strong and unbreakable. And now, finally, they were going to show the galaxy what that meant.